Hi, I'm Christine Russo, and welcome to What Just Happened. We have Charlie Youakim here, CEO of Sezzle. Welcome, Charlie.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. I'm so glad to have you because Sezzle is such a breakout in the buy now, pay later space. I can't wait to get into it.
It's been a fun year, that's for sure. But it's been a wild ride altogether.
Let's go. Tell us a little bit about that ride and what's forthcoming.
The wild ride of the past is just this is my second company I built. And the first one I viewed it as almost like a minor leagues. I was in the parking industry, and this industry is major leagues. It's the players here with Klarna, Affirm, Afterpay, Zip. These are really high quality companies and high quality teams, and it's been really fun to compete. And we've had wild rides. It's been a roller coaster, but this past year has been phenomenal. Just like some great execution by our team this year. We got listed on the NASDAQ basically a little bit over a year ago, which was an important milestone for us. And yeah, it's been a fun one.
I feel like once the patch sponsorship happened, you made it.
That's what it felt like, actually. The timing of this patch sponsorship for the Timberwolves, it came about like only a few months ago, actually. Paul Paradis, my co-founder, actually worked for the Timberwolves. With his first job out of school, he was in sales at the Timberwolves. So he's always had a connection to that organization. He actually knows the leadership at the organization. They were always trying to pitch us for the patch sponsorship, but we didn't want to do it in the past. But it came up again this year, and we're like, wow, the way things are going for the company right now, and probably one of our biggest weaknesses is awareness. Let's do this. Like the just timing was perfect, and we love the Timberwolves. We're Timberwolves fans, both Paul and I, big fans. But we did not do it because we were fans. We just know this team's gonna be damn good. And this is the right timing. Sezzle's on the rise, needs awareness. The Timberwolves are on the rise, and they're an awesome team. They're going to be on national TV. Let's do it. So the timing was, Christine, I think you're spot on. It feels like that, like a made it moment.
So I saw it. I saw a post probably on LinkedIn, and I was like, wait, what? So I went and I Googled who are their peers? Who else has patch pockets? So like you're in some serious crowds now. I think there's only one open patch pocket out there now. I think it's the Clippers.
Yeah.
If I recall. But yeah, you're in some pretty high level crowd now. So yeah, it's definitely you got to see. You're off at the kids table. You're at the, adults table on Thanksgiving now.
That's funny. It does feel like that. One of the big players in our fintech space, Chime, they're on the Dallas Mavericks. So Self Financial was on the Spurs. So yeah, there's definitely players in our space that are on there. So it feels like we're off the kids table.
Payments in general, forget buy now, pay later. Just payments in general is like a cauldron of just bubbly, high intensity field. You've got a lot of competition, a ton of regulation, a lot of innovation happening even in the legacy space. And then comes along this annoying little brother of buy now, pay later, where picture four younger brothers in the bunk room, like fighting each other for the top spot, trying to get mom and dad's attention. And I feel like in a way, you guys were maybe even in the cradle in the other room. You were the fifth brother, and you just come bursting in. We're here now. We're big. We're gonna make our own place in this world. And so let's talk about that. One of the things I learned about Sezzle is you have an enormous D2C business.
We do. Yeah, that's the unique thing that's happened for us. So the traditional way buy now, pay later companies grew, which we did the same. It's in a symbiotic relationship with merchants. We reach out to merchants and let them know what our product can do for increasing sales, increasing conversions. And they put us on their site. They advertise us on their site on product pages and in the checkout. And we help them make the sale, and they help us gather a customer. And then that customer downloads our app and then sees other merchants they can use it at. That was the traditional model. We recently launched in the last 2 years, or maybe just over 2 years, we launched 2 subscription products for consumers. Because one of the biggest complaints we had with consumers coming to us was, I love your product, Sezzle. I want to use it in more places. And we're like, you guys, we're working over here. We're trying to get on more merchant sites. But then we realized, let's just cut the corner. Let's allow consumers to subscribe to a product that opens up more access for them to shop in more places. And that was the launch of Premium. And then a year later, the launch of Anywhere, where basically with like Anywhere, we give the customer a card, a virtual card on their mobile phone, and they can just tap away and use it wherever they want to do it. And then what we realized is the dynamic that occurred was in the traditional buy now, pay later business, it's a phenomenal business model because you're getting paid to acquire customers. The downside is that the lifetime values are small because there's low frequency and lower margins in that business. which if you have massive scale, it works. It could just work. But what ended up happening with subscription is we went from low margin, low frequency to now people using us a lot, and it's high margin. So now we have high lifetime values. And then the moment that happened and we started to see it, we're like, we can start advertising directly to consumers and bring them straight into subscription because now we've got the lifetime value to support it. And that's what brought about the D2C business, which we've been growing this year now with marketing. And that's another reason why we did the patch sponsorship with the Timberwolves to reach more consumers.
Put me in the room. You're getting this feedback. The customer is saying, I wish I could use this in more places. Are you in a war room? Are you looking at your SWOT and you're saying, like, we're hearing this? Was there an aha moment? Because it wasn't on the roadmap. Was it like an aha moment? Were you sitting there with Paul? Were you sitting there with your leaders? Were you like, hey, let's look at different ways we can answer this call?
Yeah, there was a bit of a war room because back in the day that we launched Premium, the first subscription, it was tough times actually for the company. We were actually trying to go IPO in the US. We were already public in Australia. We were IPOing in the US. It was going way slower than expected. We were delaying fundraising. I think we had $1 billion valuation back then. This is 3 years ago, or maybe it's 4 years ago now, but three or so years ago. And we were pushing off a fundraise in Australia where we were listed because we're like, we need to save the fundraise for the US IPO. But then the US IPO never happened. And then we were looking at things and we're like, wow, we're short on cash. I'd like to have 3 years of cash if you're burning because it just feels safer. It is safer, but it's not just feeling. We were down to 12 months of cash. And I was like, okay, we have a little bit of a moment here and we got to fix it. And so at that moment, we were like, we got to get to profitability as fast as possible. We did a boatload of initiatives. Almost every one of them was a success. This team operated incredibly well during this time period. But then one of those initiatives was thinking about how to monetize a little bit better. And that's where it was a bit almost built in fire solution. Like, we need to do something. We were seeing the feedback and we decided we needed to launch this product. It was in this moment that happened.
That's amazing. It's true entrepreneurship and innovation and collaboration and all the things.
It was all of the things, no doubt about it.
All the things. So I want to ask you now, you're seeing this traction and you're having this great success and growing. And you mentioned advertising to the customer. Now that you've done that for a period of time, what's the most successful? What's the best ROI? Is it changing? Is AI pivoting all of it now? Where are you connecting the most and the best?
We're doing a number of things. Our view is, especially we're newer at it. And whenever I think you approach something, could be the wrong approach, but it's just the way I think you should approach it. I think you want to test the waters in as many channels as you can. So basically, we've talked with our marketing team. Here's how we want to approach it. Like, there are 30, 40, 50 channels where you can potentially reach the customer. We need to test them all. And then when we start to see things working in a channel, pump more into it. Just keep on pumping more into it. So what's worked really well for us is SEO. We've done a lot of SEO where we launch landing pages where people on search terms and people find us. We've done advertising in apps, like in app ecosystems. That's worked really well for us because basically the point is to get a customer to download an app. So if you've got a mobile user, like a mobile heavy user, you're already on the right path. So that's worked quite well for us. But we're testing everything. Like, we're even testing, we just launched a bar coaster test. Get these in, because young people use our product, get these bar coasters in bars near universities, maybe even, and put QRs where if you sign up, we'll give you $10, $20 off for your sign up and check it out. So that's when we're launching now. That's what I'm saying. We test. I think you need to test everything because at different stages of the company, different things can work. So we're across the board right now, but we are finding success in SEO and ads on mobile phones. Those are probably the top two right now.
What about retail media?
That is one we probably have not tested as much, and one that we need to test. That's one we haven't done as much.
You can do it in grocery. You can do it with Uber. You can do it with Instacart. Huge ecosystem.
We've talked about Uber. I know that. We have talked a bit about grocery. This is a retail customer that gets our product. So reach them where they are, and makes a lot of sense.
It's a retail customer, but let's talk about the infiltration into those discretionary dollars by sports as a business, sports as retail. We can talk about your patch sponsorship as you dipping your toe into that space for awareness, but there's also a huge ecosystem and customer. If you talk about stadiums and concessions and the reach and capturing that business as well, do you have a strategy for that? Have you thought about that? Is it on your roadmap? We're going to pivot for a second outside of traditional retail and just talk about the consumer and spending.
Yeah, so actually we are testing with the Timberwolves sponsorship. So the patch sponsorship goes a bit beyond the patch as well. We get advertising in the stadium on regional games. And then we also get access to the concourses and potential advertising channels within the target center. So one thing we're thinking about doing, Christine, is testing like how to do this, like test initiatives within the concourse. And if we can prove that we can create activations at sporting events or at concerts in stadiums, then we can push it out further. Because we think sports is interesting for sure, but our demographic actually tends to be more female, like skewed female. And so we think concerts could be like the next angle of attack for us as well. And so we're almost thinking, let's test out the waters on the concourse in the Timberwolves arena for activations. And what I mean by that is maybe put something over the concession stand where download Sezzle, get $20 off your next order. And the customer downloads Sezzle, gets anywhere, signs up, and then they scan and get $20 off their concession. If we can prove that we can create activations, now we've got a formula for success to go into other areas like concerts. So that's definitely something we're thinking about doing, is reaching this younger customer through the actual events themselves too.
So you're looking at the customer holistically. You're going really where they are, which, as you said, is these other ways that they spend their discretionary income.
Exactly.
Let's talk about how if you and how you plan for holiday. We're basically in holiday zone, red zone right now. What's different about this time of year for Sezzle and your team?
This answer might surprise you. We take on a pretty defensive structure in the holidays. We definitely help our merchant partners, but our product, the way the product is designed, is we are basically lockstep with the customer on responsible spending. Because the way the product works is if you use Sezzle properly, you can keep on using it. It's all interest-free for you on the payments. If you miss one payment, you can't make another purchase. We stop you from making another purchase if you miss one payment ever. And you have to catch up, and then you can start purchasing again. But then the issue becomes, once there's a bit of overspending, if the customer misses too many payments, then we have a chance of a lost customer. They just say, forget it. Because there's really no downside for them unless they're in Sezzle Up, our credit building program. There's really not any downside to not paying us. So in the holiday period, we are very cognizant about how to smartly restrict limits for customers, or reduce limits as where possible, or restrict access to new customers coming in, to basically make sure that we don't run into these tough situations. And this is when I think people always like to knock the new credit product, because we're a credit product in the end. So there's some negative perceptions of buy now, pay later. But I always point to the holiday period, and I think it's like food for thought for people that are trying to understand our product. So now think about that. We take on a defensive structure. I guarantee our competitors do the same thing. Credit card industry, I don't think they do it. I think that they actually view the holiday period as an overspending period that creates revolvers. If a customer overspends, they can't pay down their monthly balance, which they might be doing more typically. Now they become a revolver for the next few years. And that's a good situation for a credit card company. So if you think about those two situations, we're playing defensively because we don't want overspending. Credit cards want overspending, I think. They will never tell you that, but I think they do in the holiday period. Which one's better for the customer? It's buy now, pay later. Because it's helping the customer. We're aligned with the customer on not overspending. That's the unique information that I don't think a lot of people understand about our business.
I believe that many people prioritize what's good for the shareholders, not what's good for the customers.
Yeah.
So how do
True.
you answer that? You're on an analyst call and you're explaining that you're
Restricting a bit.
walk me through that.
Yeah. In a way, we are helping the investor at the same time we're helping the customers, because when you have good lifetime values of customers, the last thing you want is to have it go to zero. And that's what happens when a customer overspends with us and can't pay us back, is they just walk away, and that's a zero lifetime value event. And so that is actually lockstep with the investor too. Pay later is growing because customers like it. I think they like it because they feel safer. It's a budgeting product in the end for these customers, but also a purchasing power product. And our decision-making is lockstep with responsible spending for them too. So in a way, like everything is locked up and aligned for positives for these shareholders or stakeholders, which is makes things easier when you don't have to balance out the two stakeholders. When they're both aligned, it's both a win. So that helps.
So you're still evaluated on churn. Credit card companies are not, but
Yeah.
you are. So that's a major KPI for you. I'm assuming that's a question and a statement. And if it is, then this management, this defensive strategy keeps the churn number low and keeps your KPI high. Is that
Exactly?
okay?
Exactly. We don't report churn to the public at this point because
Mm.
we're still learning the business ourselves because they're new products. But we do report total subscriber numbers, which of course takes into account churn. So no doubt about it.
Has your subscriber number been growing?
It has been growing. It's been a pretty phenomenal growth rate, actually. So we started July of 2022 with premium, and I think the first year we ended around 100,000 subscribers. Last year, I think we ended at 350,000 subscribers, somewhere around there. And as of last quarter, I think we announced 460,000 subscribers. So it's been growing pretty rapidly. And this is an average subscription of $15 a month. So you're talking about some pretty good monthly numbers all of a sudden when you get to that number. It's been pretty fun. That's part of the reason we've been doing so well, no doubt about it.
That's really great. So you're getting this under control. Maybe that's a 3-year plan, maybe.
Mhm.
I feel like this space is going to evolve a lot. It's going to be driven by regulation. It's going to be driven by acquisitions. What are you doing? You're the CEO. You're not looking a month out. You're barely looking 6 months out, although there's also that. But what are you seeing ahead past that point? How do you look around corners? What are you doing to position the company? And what would be those objectives to foresee how the industry evolves?
You're spot on. I always think 5 years out. That's always the way I think. I just can't help it. And I have a ton of respect for our competition. So one of the first things we do is we look at the competition. What are some of these players? Because I view business like a sport. You got to evaluate your competition too. Because you're working on yourself, but you got to evaluate the competition too and what they're doing well, what they're not doing well. And we've noticed some players, Klarna in particular, has done a nice job with shopping as a feature in their app. That's something that we really want to improve in the Sezzle ecosystem, the Sezzle app. So that's a big initiative coming up for us. And I'll get into the details of what I mean by that. But so we basically view our product as two pillars: financial services and shopping, because the product is a financial service in the end. And so we focus on what do we continue to do in those two pillars. So shopping, we're going to build out. And then the other pillar and financial services, we want to keep on supporting credit building. So we have Sezzle Up. We're the only player in the buy now, pay later space that optionally allows the customer to enroll for free to report their payments to the bureaus to help them build their credit score up. We love the product. Our customers love it. We've got about 700,000 customers enrolled in the program, and I feel really good about it. And the reason, by the way, one of the reasons we did it was because even as a management team, we said we've got to be good stewards as well. Like, and if I had a son, my son's 4 years old, but if he was 18, I would want to be able to recommend that he uses my product that I'm working on. If it didn't have credit building, I would tell him, go get a credit card. Don't use it. That just felt horrible to me, have that feeling. So that was like our management viewpoint. We should build something that we would want our own kids to use. So we've added Sezzle Up. But then more importantly than that, we've got younger customers that use our product. They need more credit building tools. So we want to keep on building out the credit building side of things to keep on helping these customers in financial services. But on the shopping side, what we're talking about adding and building things like automatic couponing, like Honey did for the browser, bring it to the mobile app. Price comparison. So if you're buying a pair of Nike shoes somewhere, we found it for $7 cheaper for you on another site. Maybe you want to click over there. Super fast checkouts. We've got all of your information. So when you're checking out at Nordstrom, click, you're done. We'll plug it all in for you so you have a super fast checkout. Shopping lists, browser extension, a mobile browser extension. So you don't actually even have to be in our app. You can be shopping in Chrome or Safari on your mobile phone, and we'll help you with couponing and price comparison. So that's basically probably a 2-year journey for us, building out these shopping features. And then credit building, there's things like secured credit cards, credit builder loans, where you basically self-fund your loan. Reporting on rent payments is a way to build credit, an unusual one, but one way to build credit. So we're going to be looking at those types of products to weave into the system as well.
So I love that you're watching the tape, watching the competition.
Yep.
What I hear from you in terms of the competitors that you are going up against, it's well outside buy now, pay later. You've got Built for the rent piece.
Mm-hmm.
You've
Yep.
got Shop Pay for the checkout.
Yep.
And you've got Robinhood Gold, where a lot of young people are going to build their credit card, early stage credit carding and building
Yeah.
their credit. Yeah, that is in a good way because it can inform you. And it also, as the industry maybe gets squeezed a lot
Mhm.
by legacy companies or regulations, you're like 2 steps ahead of it.
I always feel like I have a fire under my rear end. Like I've got to do stuff, otherwise you're in trouble. And I always just have that itch. You've got to keep on building the next growth wing. Buy now, pay later is going to grow for the next 5 years. So I feel pretty lucky, pretty fortunate that we're going to be in a growth industry. But I don't think you can ever sit on your laurels. You've always got to be thinking about what other things you can launch. Like one of my people I look up to, Jeff Bezos with Amazon. Look at Amazon. They did incredible things that no one thought they could do in the shopping space. But then they launched Amazon Web Services, which is totally doesn't even make sense necessarily at that time. People made fun of them for doing it. What a massive win that's been for them. Like, I think if you always have this mindset, like what if there's a need out there, there's a potentially a product market fit, we're well equipped to hit it. Let's do it.
Yeah, think big or go home.
I agree. You only live once. Go for
YOLO,
it.
man. YOLO. I want to thank you. On that note, I want to thank you for your time and your insight and what a positive energy and outlook. It just has good vibes all around.
Thanks, Christine. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, Charlie, thank you so much. You have a very sincere Midwestern demeanor and the slow and steady pace sets you up for massive success.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
I'm Christine Russo. Thank you for watching What Just Happened.